this is a response to a question, or a couple of questions really, Angela Ortiz asked. So Angela asked about fitness and health instructors, coaches, gurus, that kind of thing. How you choose one, and what sort of warning signs to look out for, I guess. First of all, it's difficult. But secondly, a coach or an instructor can really be life-changing. And I think it was maybe Eric Schmidt of Google who sort of said, any top Olympic athlete would have a coach. So it's kind of weird not to be coached. Like no one is too good to be coached. However, obviously there's a lot of people out there who are just full of nonsense, really. So I guess first part of the answer would be that you need to have a firm grip on some fundamentals to even be in a position to judge, anything to do with health and fitness and that kind of thing. So, Angela mentioned the word detox. That's a very clear red flag. Anyone talking about detox, there's a massive weight of scientific evidence that detox is just nonsense. No basis in reality at all. And if you have if you have some kind of fundamental knowledge about how the human body works, for example, if you were expecting to get rid of heavy metals from your body by sweating, well, if you've got some heavy metals that are not water soluble, they're not going to dissolve in water and magically come out of your body. Your body detoxes all the time. If it didn't, you would be dead in a very, very short space of time. So there are red flags you can look out for. There's pseudoscience, and an interesting cousin of pseudoscience is pathological science. So pseudoscience is where people use a scientific sounding language, but often quite loosely, and the people using it often don't really know what the terms mean, and yet they're using it to justify justify claims about their regime or their product or that kind of thing. So that's one thing to look out for. Another thing is pathological science. That's far harder to detect, and that's really when pathological science is really almost a type of mental illness where someone has often made a mistake, got some results that look promising because of bad testing or scientific method, and then they get in a position where they believe their results, and they have to start manufacturing data and that kind of thing to basically keep the lie going. So that's something to look out for as well. Harder to detect, but an obvious warning sign would be people who claim their research shows great results and yet no one else can replicate that same result, or people who claim great results and yet aren't open about their testing method, for example. A general thing that I'd say about particularly health is that currently, as of May 2017, the overwhelming scientific consensus is that it's very, very, very hard to make generalizations about what people should do to be healthy, except for incredibly basic things. Not that those basic things may be quite powerful. So, low calorie diet has over the years kind of been a thing that seems to be very robust in the face of rigorous testing and research. But interestingly, most of the things related to diet don't seem to be general rules. That is probably because of a genetic element. So, for example, if British people follow a healthy Mediterranean diet, they don't get the same health benefit as people living in Greece, Italy, Spain, whatever do, which is interesting, and it's probably genetic. There are very healthy people all over the world who seem to have very, very narrow diets. People who just eat meat, for example, in Mongolia, and yet some of the longest lived people on earth. So there's probably a very strong genetic element, and obviously 2017 it's probably a very strong epigenetic element, which is sort of all the rage at the moment, all about epigenetics. So that's something to really consider. As far as fitness is concerned, one thing you would want to really look for with any kind of coach is that they're considerably older than you and their body is in good condition. So you don't want to be taking a lot of advice from someone who's very young, because they could be getting good results at the moment and yet doing long-term damage to their body, particularly in terms of joints, but also metabolic damage, epigenetic damage possibly. So sort of doing things that are increasing the risk of sudden death, that kind of thing. And yeah, the joints, bones, things like that, obviously very important, and you can't tell easily except by looking at someone who is, old, has been doing it, whatever they're doing for a long time, without damaging themselves. Also, you have to kind of make judgments about how the person is living, because often a lot of these so-called kind of gurus, they are selling people what they want, what their customer wants, in terms of some kind of simple, easy system, and yet if you're able to look at their lifestyle, you'd find they're getting the results from something quite different. So, they might be, let's say they're doing yoga DVDs, and they have some incredible system for optimum health and fitness with just 30 minutes of yoga 3 times a week, and yet maybe a little bit of online searching, looking on Google image search or whatever, looking on YouTube, maybe looking at a Facebook page, you might find they're spending most of their time in the gym, and they're probably getting their results from an hour of weights every day, not from 30 minutes of yoga 3 times a week. So often people are kind of selling something that is not how they get their results. A superficial example would be someone who has just come out of the military and is sort of got a little circuit training routine they're selling you. Well, it's far easier to maintain fitness than to achieve fitness. So they're probably in pretty good shape because they've come out of 6 years of military, doing assault courses and carrying heavy loads at relatively high speeds up mountains, day in, day out, and eating at a very controlled diet. A general rule of thumb I once heard is that the kind of ideal fitness instructor you want is someone who's sort of trained as a physiotherapist and can deadlift considerably more than you can, as a percentage of the body weight, obviously, to make a fair comparison. Someone who has done some serious sports medicine study, be very, very, very wary of things like people who put doctor in front of their name when they have a PhD they bought in Thailand or whatever, which is one of the tricks a lot of the fitness gurus do now. Lots of American fitness gurus do this. Technically, as long as they don't put the letters MD after the name, they're not claiming to be a medical doctor. And yet, they talk all their marketing literature refers to them as, doctor so-and-so. They're kind of conditioning you into believing that they're some medical doctor. They may have a PhD they bought, or they may have a PhD in a completely irrelevant subject. Just because they have a PhD in management doesn't mean they have a knowledge of how the human body works. Generally, you have to be very wary of qualifications in the health and fitness thing, because in most countries it's completely unregulated, and so for example in most countries you can get so-called degrees in nutrition, and they're typically offered by the worst universities in the country, or even so-called non-accredited universities, half-fake universities. So that's kind of a red flag if someone's really pushing their qualifications. And yet you can just Google for their qualifications, and then with each qualification Google for that, and check the country they're from, look at the regulations in that country. I know, regulations are often there to protect jobs and things, but it does provide some level of quality, I guess. If you can compare, let's say, I think maybe in Australia, to be a physiotherapist, you typically have like a undergraduate degree in sports science or whatever, and then do a 1 or 2 year professional qualification. That's very, very different from someone who's done a 1 year course in nutrition at a community college and has basically a worthless bit of paper. But as always, you need to look at the results of the person. Like, do they have some genuine cases where let's say they've got clients or people who follow their system and have got good results, and are you confident that those results have come from that system? It's just no good if someone has some kind of amazing system where they're claiming to get all these good results, and then actually they're on top of their system, they're doing sort of 20 hours of fitness training a week that you're not able to do or prepared to do. So I hope that's helpful. It is tough. I would just generally say really investigate each little point if you're going to be committing a lot of time and money and potentially your health to something like this. Thanks a lot, and if you can, www.matthewdons.org to look at my cancer fundraising page.